welcome to our first ever Techy Tuesday with Tim. Thank you for joining us either live or later today. The purpose of this series is every fortnight Tim's going to jump online on Facebook Live and on our groups and share a bit about family property and how it's being used by our clients to get, for example, wow moments from the balance sheet and any enhancements that we have to the product. So Tim, maybe over to you.
Yeah, great. So the intention of these sessions is just a quick 15 minutes. So we won't go into too much detail, but hopefully these sessions are an opportunity just to cover off something that you may not know you could do in family property, or just a bit of a refresher in how you can, get the most out of family property. Moving forward, it would be really great to get your feedback around the kinds of things you might want us to cover in these sessions. So feel free to, provide some comments after this session around some other topics that you would love to see, because I can then put together some really great content and presentations for us in the coming weeks. So today we thought we'd keep it really simple, and we would just cover one aspect of family property, which is really at the heart of family property, and that is the balance sheets, and talk about how there's different ways around how you can get your information into your balance sheet and get that populated. So there's a few different ways that you can do that. Probably the most obvious one is to use the intake questionnaire that will ask questions in those steps around assets and liabilities and superannuation funds, and all of that information, of course, then flows straight into the balance sheet and pre-populates that for you. So that's obviously probably our most popular way of starting to populate the balance sheet. The other way, which is very popular, is actually just building it up by adding assets and liabilities and super funds straight into the balance sheet directly. And I'm going to show you how to do that really quickly today as well in the time that we've got. But I do want to show you two other ways that you can also get information into your balance sheet today. So the first way is importing a family law court's balance sheet. So if you've already got the information prepared and ready to go in a Word file or an Excel file, you can import that straight into family property and get that information, up in there within a few clicks of a button. So I'm going to focus on that today to show you how you can do that. And I'm also going to briefly touch on a new smart form that we've got as well, called a case outline, which is also a really great way of capturing information around assets, liabilities, and super that can then populate straight into the balance sheet. So they're two very different ways of capturing that information and allowing you to then populate your balance sheet. So let's dive into it. I'm just going to quickly share my screen here. But before I do, I might just throw it over to Fiona. I think she's got a couple of questions there.
So I guess the purpose of today, we have had some feedback from our lawyer webinars that we run once a month or bi-monthly around can we just have a quick snapshot of latest updates to family property via video, etc. We are building out a help page, and the purpose of these sessions, as Tim said, is to really highlight these techie updates to family property. So if you want to share your screen, Tim.
Yep, sure. So let's dive into it and spend a little bit of time in family property here. So can you see my screen there? Fiona, probably just looking at you, yeah? Yes? Yeah. Yes, great. So as you can see, this is a blank balance sheet here. I haven't got any assets, liabilities, or super funds in there just yet. Of course, I'm going to kind of move over and skip the using the intake questionnaire, because we might do that at a different time. But I do want to show you two ways that you can start populating your balance sheet. So of course, the easiest way is just going over to this add button and adding an asset, liability, or superannuation fund. And you just fill in the form on the right hand side, and that will add in individual assets, liabilities, and super funds as you kind of use the add button over here. But the first thing that I did want to step through really quickly today in our session is importing a balance sheet. So this is super helpful, I guess, especially for mediators who may have been provided a balance sheet from a legally represented party. And FamilyProperty supports both Excel and Word versions. So before we actually import any balance sheet in, let's just have a really quick look at what a balance sheet looks like. This one here is the one that I'm going to import. This is a balance sheet in Microsoft Word. As you can see, it's got some assets, liabilities, and a couple of super funds. This will also import add backs and financial resources too, if they're provided in this document. But as you can see, it's just a standard family law courts balance sheet in Word format. It's quite flexible in terms of you can have missing values and it will still import okay from that point of view. But one really important thing when it comes to importing this information is to note how the ownership's been defined here. So as you can see, being a Word file, you could put anything you like in this column, and people do. There's no kind of standard way of defining ownership. Sometimes it's defined as H or W, or applicant or respondent, or the party's names. And because there really isn't any consistency, you do need to note how it's been defined in your particular file here. So I'm noting here just on the screen that H and W in this particular circumstance has been used, but it could be really anything. You just need to make a note of that. That'll become important in a moment. So that's the Microsoft Word format. The other format that is supported is an Excel version. Effectively, it's very, very similar in layout, assets, add backs, liabilities, super, financial resources. And again, you've got all of the same kind of information. You can leave out values if need be. But again, you do need to note the ownership column, how the ownership's been identified there. So now that we've got a balance sheet ready to go, let's import this in. So I'm going to go to balance sheets. And I'm going to click on import balance sheet here. Now, if you would like to start with one of our templates and populate it from there, just click on the links up the top. That'll download either the Word or Excel version. You can start populating it if you want to kind of do it yourself. But the first thing, there's two choices you need to make in preparation for importing the info. The first one is, are you filling in your values as the applicant from the applicant column or the respondent column? Today, I'm going to do it from the applicant. And then the second question here is that ownership column. How has ownership been identified? And I noted that H, my client, has been identified using the H, and W, the other party, has been identified in that way. So I'm just clearly putting that in here into the columns. And now I'm just going to browse onto my desktop here for that Word file. So I select that. FamilyProperty is going to analyze that document. There you go. And it gives you a summary of the information it's about to import. So I can see there my list. And you just click import. And that's basically it. That's now going to go through and populate my balance sheet. So here I can see my full list of assets, liabilities, and superannuation funds have all come across. Now, you'll see the values have also come across, as well as ownership has been clearly identified. So this saves you a lot of time. One thing, though, that doesn't come across in the import because it's not in the balance sheet documents to start off with is the kind of asset or liability or super fund it is. It's just not in there. So unfortunately, everything comes across into FamilyProperty as an other asset, other debt for liabilities and so on. So you might just need to take a moment just clicking on each item and just identifying what type of asset, liability and super fund it is. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just going through as an example. This is a bank account. And it will probably only take you a minute, but it is important just to go through and really clearly identify in FamilyProperty what these items are just by clicking in on each one. And so now you've got a balance sheet ready to go. You've got it populated. Everything's been identified from an ownership point of view and what type of asset, liability or super fund it is. I'm just going to go through and just do the last one here. It's just to show you household item. There we go. And now, of course, you could, if you wanted to take this forward, you could then move to the right-hand side and start working with each item around what you would actually like to do with it based on moving these sliders either into the left-hand column or the right-hand column, or in the middle there if you would like to sell or discharge the items. So I did mention that's the first easy way of getting information into your balance sheet, is importing one from a Word or Excel file if you like working in that format, or of course if you've already been provided with one. And the other one we're going to cover in another techie session, but I did just want to quickly highlight that we do have a new smart form. So if you just go to More and go to Smart Forms, you'll find a case outline file here. And this does support a full balance sheet in terms of assets, liabilities, and superannuation funds. And this is another really easy way of filling in a form, an online form, and getting that information into your balance sheet. So I'm not going to show much more on that. If you use FamilyProperty, feel free to dive in that and explore that. It is designed to help you quickly and efficiently get a brief or a case outline or overview from a party or a lawyer representing a party. But a key part of that is getting assets, liabilities, and super. And then once that form has been filled in, that information will be provided straight into your balance sheet that you see there on the screen.
So what I'm hearing from you, Tim, is there's a number of ways that you can populate the balance sheet. Initially with FamilyProperty, we have an intake questionnaire, quite a detailed intake questionnaire. That can still be used by you as the family law professional, or you could invite your client to complete all or part of that questionnaire to populate the balance sheet. In addition to that, though, if you don't want to use the questionnaire for whatever reason, you don't want to invite your client, you know roughly what the asset pool is, there's a number of ways to do that. One is you can manually add assets, liabilities, or superannuation. But two is, as Tim has showed you today, you can import the balance sheet either as a Word or Excel balance sheet, which can be quite helpful if you're a mediator and you've been provided with that balance sheet, or you've already generated a balance sheet in your practice management system and you want it in FamilyProperty so you can start cleverly modeling and comparing balance sheets and then generating the relevant documents. And then lastly, you've showed us another way, which is the new case outline document. And that case outline document is available at More Smart Forms. And that case outline you can actually send to, for example, if you're a mediator, you could send that to a lawyer to complete in preparation for a mediation, or you can complete it yourself in preparation for a conciliation conference or other court event. So what we want to showcase today, what we wanted to showcase, is there's a number of ways that you can populate that balance sheet. And then when the information is in there, it's very interactive, collaborative, all auto-calculating, really saving you time and enable you to quickly model and compare proposals. Tim, anything else you wanted to add there today?
No, I think that's about it. We just wanted to keep these sessions really short and focused. And so hopefully that's given you a few other ideas around how you can import and populate your balance sheet. Feel free to send any questions that you might have after this. You can email them through, reach out to us if you'd like to know a little bit more about any of those features in some more detail, or if you've got some questions, more than happy to help you out in regards to getting started with populating your balance sheet.
And if we go down, just to finish this one, we've populated the assets, liabilities, and we'll just make a proposal for the superannuation. As you can see there, it's all auto-calculating Alexander's percentages and Sophia's percentages. And then if you go up, and you can auto-calculate the percentages and save versions and then document that into proposals and other documents. So quick snapshot, but this is how you can get information into the family property balance sheet. Thank you for joining us, either live or the recording, and we look forward to this next Techy Tuesday session in a couple of weeks' time. Please feel free to reach out to us in the meantime. Thank you.
Thanks.